Hello and welcome to this episode of Carmen's Coaching Corner, and today I have my special guest, Selena Shu. Selena, rather than me read your bio, would you mind just introducing yourself to my audience and how we know each other and how we work together?
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I've been a teacher for 25 years, have worked with kids from preschool age, Montessori, up to college level. And I've really always loved teaching. But over my life's journey, I've learned some spiritual principles that really didn't fit into the classroom setting. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to switch over and teach adults because that's what spoke more to me in the end. And so I'm now today teaching women how to build really deeply connected relationships. And rather than being a therapist, I teach them skills and I walk them through step by step on how to build those relationship skills.
Yeah, you do. And I've been to a couple of Selena's workshops that you've run, and I've always had a thoroughly good time. And you've been doing this now for a number of years, right? You've been
4 years. Yeah.
And you've also, because of our background, I know I've known Selena for about 8 years now, and nine years. Oh God,
yeah,
9 years, almost a decade. And I know you've been on this path for quite some time. Would you like to kind of explain what your path, your own personal journey has been to get you to this point?
Yes. So 10 years ago, or a little bit longer, I went through a divorce, as you know, because we really know each other, because Carmen is actually today the partner of my ex-husband, Joshua. And so Josh and I were going through a divorce, and at that time I had to really look at what is it that I'm bringing to the failure of this marriage. We have been together for 16 years. We have a daughter. And I knew that I needed to look at what was my part in this and how could I change that. Because I knew I couldn't change him. That was his journey. I needed to, in order for me not to have the exact same outcome again, I needed to change. And so I looked at those things, and at the same time, I was learning a lot more spiritual practices about the idea of law of attraction, of what you focus on, the more you get, and really started looking at my thinking process, and also, my thinking process, but also my emotions and how I was manifesting what I was thinking. And through that, I really started to dissect the process of, okay, how do I change that? How do I interrupt a process that is negative? And how do I move that in a positive way? And what I figured out is that a lot of women know these ideas in theory, but how to actually apply them in their personal lives is a whole lot more tricky, because everyone tells you, yeah, let's just be positive about this. And then you get home and you go, I feel like crap. So I can't keep this up. So, it's not an easy process that just happens. And I learned that it was tiny steps that we practice over time that help us make a real shift in our lives.
That's so true, because one of my other, and you and I both had many teachers and many mentors and read lots of material to get us to where we are today. And I love the phrase that Lisa Nichols says, and Lisa Nichols is if you're not familiar with who she is a motivational speaker, an inspirational speaker, and I've been very blessed to be in one of her programs, but what she always used to say to us was, it's those needle point moves that get you to where you need to be. It's not going to be like one day you wake up and everything you want to manifest or want to attract to yourself is going to happen, like the perfect relationship and things like that. And what I love about what you do, Selena, and Selena and I have kind of gone on this journey together. I mean, you focused on relationships and I'm more on the personal professional development, but we went on this journey together, unbeknownst to the two of us, that we were both doing this work. Yes. And it's just such a lovely thing to be able to talk to your, your boyfriend's ex-wife and be able to commiserate together and see what's working, what isn't. And you focus predominantly on relationships, right?
Yes.
And you work mostly with women.
Yes.
And one of the things, and you have a book, Be Your Own Knight in Shining Armor, which is an amazing book. It's chock full of practical exercises and things that you can do to actually make those needlepoint moves, and you kind of break everything down in step by step, which is, it's almost like a program within a book.
It is. It is really a curriculum, and that's what I walk people through and help them when they get stuck in different places.
Yeah. And what I love about your book is, and your teaching, Selena, is that you talk about having a relationship with yourself first.
Yes. Yes.
So how does someone go about having that relationship with themselves first?
It really comes down to connecting with yourself and understanding that unless you know yourself and unless you have clarity about what it is you want to attract and the kind of life you want to live,
right,
you can't set the right boundaries. And I think what most of our women get stuck with, or what I've seen with my clients and what I experience myself, is that when we're not clear, we constantly let others walk over our boundaries and we become resentful.
Right. So
but
true.
we've allowed for them to walk over our boundaries because we weren't clear on what we needed.
Right.
We only get clear afterwards when we go, oh my God, I'm stressed. I don't have time for myself. All of those things.
Right.
So clarity is really honing in, and making quiet time is really essential then to become clear.
Right.
Because it's hard to just say, wow, this is what I want. We really often need to spend a lot of time in meditation, get clear, and then move from that. And so that's kind of the first piece.
Right, and you offer a number of meditations, right, on your website to people that are easily downloadable, and they're really set to beautiful music, and you have very soothing voice, so they're really lovely to listen to, and I highly recommend that you go to Selena's website, and we'll give the details at the end of this episode. And the other thing that you do a lot on is vision board and visualization. So. And I did three episodes last year where I talk about different visualization techniques, but yours is really special, and I'd love for you to share to people how you do vision boards.
Yeah,
because everyone's slightly different.
Yeah, I think the way mine differ from other vision board workshops is that a lot of times when you go to vision board workshops, people ask you, what is it you'd like to create this year? And then you start making a list, or you just start picking out pictures and put them on a board. So when I've noticed that that's too overwhelming. And so I wanted to cut it down again into smaller pieces and basically segmented, okay, what do you want to create in career, finances, relationship, and health? And so I walk people through short guided meditations to kind of let go of the idea of, to this year, I'm making this much money, I have this much vacation time, I am this old, and therefore feel like I only have ability to do this and this.
Right.
And so we kind of put ourselves up on a cloud where the restrictions fall away and where you can more openly envision what it is you want to bring into this world.
Yeah.
And so with that process, after doing the meditation, then we start looking for pictures on how this connects. And also we look for how you want to feel rather than what should it look like, because a lot of law of attraction has to do with how do we feel and connecting to that feeling.
Yeah, and if you don't believe this stuff, that your emotions are what attracts things to you, it's now scientifically proven that every single emotion that we emit has its own frequency, and we are all connected to what they call the EMF field. So planet Earth has its own field, electromagnetic field. our emotions connect with that field, and we do that through the emotions that we emit from our heart space. And this is all scientifically proven through the Heart Math Institute has now done a ton of different studies on this, that we connect with the field through our own electromagnetic field that we emit from our heart space. Mm-hmm. So the more you can feel as if what you've already visualized is happening right now to you, the quicker that things are going to manifest. And I just attended one of Selena's workshops. And one of the things on my vision board was being able to go to Europe very soon. Because I haven't been back to Europe for a couple of years. And in my inbox, I had no clue. And that the meditations that you do kind of, it's like Selena was saying, you're looking at things from unlimited possibilities, right? And that's one of the things that I try and teach with my coaching is like, what do you want? And don't put any limitations on you. You know, don't put your current reality on what you want to attract to yourself, because then you're just restricting yourself, like you were saying, right? So anyway, I checked my emails, and British Airways has added like 20,000 points to air mile points to my account through some lawsuit that they were fighting. And I went, brilliant. Right? I had no clue that that was going to happen. I just had this feeling like I really want to go back to see my family in the UK, possibly go to Malta and see my parents in Malta. I had no thoughts about specifically how it was going to happen. I was totally open to it, right? Yeah. And literally within 2 or 3 days of your workshop, that happened. And I just went, okay, I'm always pleasantly, and I teach this stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm always pleasantly surprised when it happens to me, because it never fails to surprise me how when you're in that receptive mode, when you're emanating the right frequency, the right emotion, and you just don't have any resistance to that happening, things actually happen, right? Yeah. I mean, you've got tons of stories about that, and right?
To me, that's the only reason why I started teaching this, is because I kept seeing these awesome things happening in my life. And it's really when you let go of the idea of how is it going to come, because that's where we're always stuck, right? Is because I'm this old, I have this much money, this is what's possible. Right. And when we go, universe, surprise me, then the universe
it does.
Seriously surprises you. I mean, and it's so awesome because it happens all the time. And right. It's the result is really only dependent on how much you're willing to let the universe surprise you.
It's so true. And one of the laws about that is called the law of allowing. And it really is, and I've said this on other talks that I've given, it's like, you know, when you order a pizza, you just put your order in for the pizza, and you just have faith that at some point, 10, 15 minutes later or 20, the pizza's going to be delivered at your front door, right? And it's kind of like that with law of attraction. You have to be very specific on what kind of pizza you want, place your order, and then just allow somehow for that pizza to appear. And it's just like that with anything else you want to manifest. You have to kind of let go of the how piece of it, and just allow yourself. You need to be able to receive. You will need to allow yourself to receive these gifts, right? Because we get in our own way constantly. And just allow things to happen. Have fun with it. Experiment. I don't know whether you ever. I was reading one of the Abraham Hicks books, and they talk about, you know, imagine. One of the things they talk about is that Esther Hicks, who channels Abraham Hicks, was talking about butterflies and manifesting butterflies. Oh, yeah, that story. So I was like, okay, I'm going to manifest a feather, a butterfly, and some random thing like a seahorse, because I just happen to love seahorses. I'm like, I just want to somehow these things manifest well. I happen to be outside, and of course, it's not the time of year that butterflies are typically around, and I see a butterfly fluttering in my back garden. I was like, oh, that's really neat. And then I walk into my living room, and the television happened to be on. And this advertisement where the logo is a seahorse. Actually, this is not BS. This is true. A seahorse comes onto the screen, and I'm going, okay. Right? So if you want to test the power of manifestation, just have fun with it. Just go, okay, today I'd like to see this, a hummingbird, or I don't know, whatever it might be, right? And just let it go. And you'll be amazed that it may not happen as instantaneously as what happened with me, but it may take a couple of days. Just have the thought, release it, and see what comes to you, right?
Yeah, and I think the key to this is that you have really absolutely no attachment to what shows up. Because when we say, oh, okay, well then I'm just going to manifest $100,000 tomorrow, right? We have all this baggage in our head about finances and what's possible. And so that's why we don't instantaneously manifest that, because it's just, we carry so much more. But if you just say, I want to see a butterfly, there's nothing in your backstory that holds you back.
Right, exactly. There's nothing that I'm going to do to self-sabotage that butterfly from appearing. And with the story with the $100,000, it's like there's going to be that part of you that just doesn't believe it. It just doesn't believe it, and that's why the self-sabotaging comes in. But that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to
saving the money mindset. That's a lifetime journey.
It certainly is, and there's tons of tools for that too. But just to wrap this episode up today, thank you so much for being on the episode. Oh, you're welcome. It's such an honor to have you in my life, truly.
Same here.
Oh, thank you. And so, is there any parting words of wisdom, a quick tool that you can, or step thing that you can share with people before we wrap up?
So if you'd like to start creating a little more quiet, especially as we launch into this new year, we are done with the busy season, and you'd like to just create a little bit more quiet in your life, and you've never meditated possibly, one easy way to just start a practice would be to take a breath in and count to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 4 counts, and then exhale it for 8 breaths, or 8 counts of breaths. Confusing myself here. So 4 in, holding 4, and letting out for 8. And that's a really easy tool to just calm yourself down. If you're in an office, if you're in a car, you don't have to close your eyes. You can just do this practice and get some instant calm and centeredness. If you're in a difficult situation and your emotions are taking over, just taking a deep breath and letting it out also just really helps. So that's one of the very easy steps to kind of get you going on this journey.
Yeah, no, that's excellent advice. And when I'm doing interview preparation, that's a great breath to do when you're answering questions in an interview, because it just gives you time to think about your answer before you just flick,
That's what I should have been doing.
Right? So any special situation like this one, apparently, do the breathing exercise. That's great advice. So thank you for sharing that with the audience, Selena. And as always, I need to wrap this up, as always, in love and light to your transformation and growth, Carmen and guest Selena.
Thank you, Carmen, for having me.
You're welcome.